We're meeting today with Kim Wagner, who is a partner and managing director at the Boston Consulting Group, or BCG. And Kim is an expert in corporate innovation. And she has been author of a recent study called Managing the Unmanageable, Radical Innovation. But her latest work, just out, is something called The Most Innovative Companies of 2014. This is a study that you've done for a couple of years in a row now. And it's a survey, I believe. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can talk about briefly the methodology and then what some of the highlights of the study are.
Sure. So this is our 9th time doing the survey. We do it roughly on an annual basis. And what we do is we go out to about 1,500 individuals who are involved in corporate innovation. They range from CEOs down to engineers on the shop floor. And we ask them about which companies they find are the most innovative, why they think that they're innovative. We combine that result with estimates of revenue and margin and success in general in the financial markets, and that generates our list of the top 50 companies. Each year it varies a little bit from year to year. Last year actually, we had a lot of automotive players on the list. The year before, we had a lot of industrial goods players on the list. This year, I would call it the return of the tech and the consumer companies to the list. And so, digital innovation and innovation in the consumer electronics space has boosted those quite substantially on the list.
So it's not just the companies that came out with cool, innovative products or very useful products. It's companies that actually did well selling them, revenues and profits flowing to the bottom line. So it's a combination
Right.
of those two.
Right. But realize we're polling, essentially, executives. And so to some extent, this is it's a peer study. So if executives believe other executives are innovative, then they end up on the list.
What do you think they think about when they want to choose the most innovative companies? What are their criteria? How do they tend to think about it? I'm sure it varies by industry a lot and that sort of thing, but if you can generalize a little bit.
I'm sure it does. And what's interesting is we actually ask them how innovative they think they are. And this year we added some extra questions around culture and because innovative culture became a big theme this year as we talked to our clients, as well as what it takes to do radical innovation. And do they believe that they are breakthrough innovators or just incremental innovators? And just using the results on what they believe and the way that they behave, I would say that they're looking at the strength of the senior management focus on innovation, the resolve to stand up and say, I'm going to continue to invest in this even when other people say no, the strength of their processes, both around portfolio and new product development, the strength of their IP management, and the focus on the customer. It's very much customer and consumer driven. And
common themes around the winners, whether they're automotive or high tech or other?
Well, the common themes is that when you look at the list, the common is probably the uncommon, meaning that it's a very diversified list. There's the auto players are still on there, the electronics players are still on there. There's been some shuffling up and down. A couple financial services companies. I'd say it's very diverse, and that's exciting.
Apart from the industries that you mentioned, how else has the list changed over the last couple of years, not just last year, but maybe the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, it's interesting. Over time, the healthcare players have dropped off the list. That's not so surprising given that, the healthcare industry, almost by definition, are breakthrough radical innovators. And when they often go out in the public and say, we have an innovation problem, everybody believes them. What most people don't realize is just how innovative they are relative to every other industry. And so it's almost like the smartest kid on the block saying, I'm not very good at this, but realize that they have an extraordinarily high bar. There's very little incremental innovation in the pharmaceutical industry. Go ahead.
Anything else that would be interesting to know about your report this year?
Yeah, we've dug into the cultural aspects of innovation. And what we found is some very stark lines between companies that you would say are average innovators to those that are strong innovators and those that are breakthrough innovators. And they vary along multiple dimensions. In your breakthrough and strong innovator group, being part of a new product development team is something that people aspire to. It's a cool kid role. It's a profession. It's not something somebody does as one of the things on their list of things to do. What we often find in some companies that aren't very good at innovation is that new product development is a piece of everybody's job as opposed to being some people's full-time job. And so we found that that was quite important. We've also found that centralizing the decision-making and control over how innovation resources are managed is also quite important. And the stronger and more breakthrough, the more likely it is that those decisions are centralized as opposed to decentralized. So there's been some interesting things on the culture front that we'll be talking about.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.